mind is set, my grind is set, my heart on ice cold. I'm only here to even a score. Whoa. My mind is set, my grind is set, my heart on ice cold. We down right now, but did it before. Whoa. See from here we going up. Made the call, I shown up. Now the game is sewn up. Say my name is blown up. We up. We.
Hey, how you doing, folks? Chris Harris here. Another episode of Buck Sweet Sports Podcast, presented to you by 810 Studios. If you haven't done so already, man, swing by 810 Studios, all their social media pages. Give them a like, share, follow, check out all the great content. A lot of great people making a lot of great stuff over there. So be sure to stop by and support them. This is your place for all your local high school sports talk. We got the whole crew back with us today, minus two. Hopefully they'll be able to join us a little bit later. But we got Brandon Ward, we got BB Brandon Blackwell, myself, Mr. Magic Gomez, and Coach Andre Graham. I hope they can join us a little bit later. Got a couple of special guests for y'all today, man, like we talked about in our live show yesterday. So first off, I'm going to introduce Ridge Boykin and Lamar Boykin. They run a recruiting website called Star Recruits. First off, Mr. Ridge Boykin, he's director of football recruiting. He graduated from High Point Christian Academy, where he garnished much college interest from Liberty, Wake, William and Mary, Elon, and others, but unfortunately didn't have any offers. He went on to attend Lewisburg Junior College, Liberty University, and ultimately he transferred to Campbell. Ridge graduated with 2 degrees in sports management and business communication, and as a former Campbell defensive line standout, he started 10 games, appeared in 25, also earned an invite to a XFL Combine, and was a CFL Combine participant. Through those experiences, Ridge gained valuable knowledge of information of navigating the recruiting process, and he is currently the head football scout for Star Recruits. Mr. Coach Lamar Boykin has 20 plus years of experience as a football coach, helped get a High Point Christian football program started. That program's won back-to-back state championships in 2015 and 2016. He served as a collegiate recruiting coordinator for High Point Christian. In his role, he met with college recruiting coaches, connected them with prospects, and provided all that essential information, transcripts, etc. This, along with the experience of taking his own sons, Ridge and Lance, through the recruiting process, has allowed Coach Boykin to gain substantial knowledge of college football recruiting. And Coach Boykin develops relationships with collegiate head coaches and their recruiting coordinators. And also graduated from Guilford College, where, as I understand it, holds the record for most interceptions. Is that still current, Coach?
As far as I know, it is. Coach Oates may be able to speak to that a little bit better. He keep things up. But as far as I know, it's still the same.
And Mr. Brandon Ward is going to introduce our next special guest. Go ahead, Brandon.
Hey man, it's our very own from Sparta, man. Over there at Union High School, we have our Clinton native. He's a graduate of Guilford College with a business degree, with a study in law with law as well. He's coached at East Bladen, Lumberton, St. Paul's, and 20 years in Florida. He is a 6-time Coach of the Year in 5A, 6A sports down there in Florida. He's taken girls basketball to regional champs, and he's been to the Final Four. He's coached track. You name it, he's done it. He's got all the qualifications you would want to be your coach at any school. But I'm proud he's back home in Sampson County coaching our Union Spartans. Coach, we love you and glad to have you on, man.
Hey, we love y'all too, man. And to touch on Brother Boykin there, yes, he still holds that record. And, as a former roommate, I can stand here and tell you any parent that has the opportunity for him to work with your child, you couldn't ask for a better man. Not only is he a good man, but he's a good husband, good father, great friend. He's just like a brother to me. and he was a heck of a ball player. And you know, I couldn't ask for a better friend, and I know Ridge would say the same thing. He couldn't ask for a better father. So if this guy's in your corner, listen to what he says. He's very knowledgeable.
And Chris, one more thing about Coach Boykin. It's one of my favorite things about him. He's a man of God. He's a pastor. So
Yes, sir. Sir.
I won't tell you his nickname. I'm gonna keep that between he and I.
Oh man, hold up, man. You done put the cat out the bag now, so we gotta know.
What you think, Boykin?
I say nothing, man. I don't know, man.
I
say nothing.
Me and another guy that's real close friends with him. We like to call him Reverend Goodnight.
Okay.
Reverend Good.
You guys are too young to know Reverend Goodnight, but you can do your research.
Hey, you guys keep me in your prayers, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, first and foremost, man, I want to thank all you gentlemen for taking the time to join us today and just give us you guys' experience and your insights and just providing that crucial information for all these athletes and parents right now to help them navigate this whole thing that just and recruiting, man. Recruiting is just one of those things we've all had questions about, while some areas are, get that attention while other areas don't. I know us, East of 95, have been talking about it for years. Why people get lost when it comes down to making it to these small rural communities and checking out these athletes at these smaller 2A and 1A schools. But I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go ahead and talk and give you guys your information, because I'm pretty sure the parents want to hear you talk. They don't want to hear me talk no more. So
Hey, well, thanks so much. I'll give you a brief backdrop and then I'll segue over to Ridge and to my good friend Coach Oates. Man, I appreciate the love you right back. Again, we really have known each other, Coach Oates and I, over half of our lives now, and it's been a great ride with this friend. Man, I love him as a brother and excited about what he's doing down in that part of Sampson County, man. So keep it going, Mark. But the intro you gave, man, I thank you in terms of the backdrop of Ridge's backdrop, my backdrop. I'll tell you really how we came to be who we are. As you mentioned in my backdrop, I helped start the High Point Christian Academy program, and the last hat that I wore there was recruiting coordinator. And I began to document the process. We really started very late with Ridge. We actually, how we really brainstormed the idea about becoming a recruiting company is we reached a recruiting company Ridge's senior year, and they went through the process. We were excited, but their price point was just well beyond us. So at that point, I decided, I looked at Ridge, and we had Lance, who was about 3 years behind Ridge, coming as a freshman. And I said, man, I'm going to figure this out. We're going to figure this out. And we literally began to document the do's and the don'ts of the recruiting process. And once I rolled that up and went through it with Ridge, we were a lot further along than what we were before we started documenting. Now, as you mentioned, Ridge's visibility in the marketplace through that process raised tremendously, but we still did not receive any offers. You mentioned, he went to JUCO, Liberty, Campbell, and thank God ended up with a pretty successful career on the collegiate level. But with Lance, we tweaked that process starting about his junior year. And by the time he was the latter part of his junior year, I think so, Ridge, early senior year, no, I think it was late junior year, he had received like 12 D1 offers. We don't guarantee any offers. What we do guarantee is this, though. We know this process works. It's been proven more than one time. It was proven with Ridge, polished with Lance, and we've taken several clients through the recruiting process with this same process, and we know it works. We do know, again, we don't guarantee offers, but we do guarantee that you will get visible in the recruiting process in the marketplace. We feel strong and we feel good about how we do what we do. And in essence, that process with Lance has kind of landed us where we are today, where we engage with parents, and I do want to emphasize this, and I thank Coach Oates for really kind of making reference to this. We may reach to a young man or prospect, but we don't do anything unlike some other recruiting companies. We are sure, we make sure that the parents are engaged and they understand and they know what we're about, who we are, and it's beyond. And I'll let Ridge will speak to this in just a moment. For us, it's beyond just getting an offer and becoming a collegiate football player. Our process is designed to actually begin to mold these men or these young men or these boys at the time of high school into young men that will be just productive in life. So this is what it's about for us. It's about giving back, what we learned kind of the hard way with Ridge and Lance, and just hoping that somebody can benefit from some of the things that we struggled with. And I'll say this in closing, and I'll push it over to Ridge. To your point earlier, our focus is we do cover some metropolitan areas, but for the most part, probably 80% of what we do is in rural North Carolina, Southern Virginia, Northern South Carolina. We focus in the rural area, and we focus on the smaller schools. Oftentimes the private schools, because we felt that pain, how hard it is to get recruited in those areas. And in essence, it's not that the schools don't like you, it's just the fact that most schools only have a certain amount of resources that they can allocate. And obviously they're going to spend their time hitting the metropolitan areas and then, kind of calling it a day. They just don't have the resources or the time to get to some of the places that we get to. So that's kind of a backdrop of who we are. I'll turn it over to Ridge so he can maybe share, or he can share kind of the details of the process in terms of once we onboard a client, what that looks like, the weekly calls, the game visits, the in-season game plan that you put together, and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're thinking about it, the process is it's not as easy as what most people look at, from the outside looking in. So there's a lot of dynamics, and what he's explaining right now is the processes and steps to get someone recruited. Essentially, for us, we try to simplify it. The main four things we go by is we'll go by how can a kid improve in football. A lot of high school kids ask me, what do I need to do to get better? So my clients right now, I tell them I have an in-season game plan for them to get better. One, it has football on it. What can you do for yourself? Because here's the thing: if you don't improve yourself, then this process isn't going to go anywhere at all. We can only do but so much. You have to want to invest in yourself football wise. You have to want to invest in yourself. Number two, academically, you have to want to invest in yourself academically as well. We have schools like William and Mary, Elon, Liberty University, some of those private schools that demand a high level of academics. You will be able to go or not go based off how your academics are. So Coach Agatelli from William and Mary, we've known him for a long time. And the one thing that he was impressed with me in high school was I had a great GPA, 3.7 GPA. And he was like, dude, we love your grades. So we don't want grades holding anyone back. Football is one thing, but we don't want grades holding anyone back from getting their true opportunity. The third thing is, what are you doing to maintain your footballer level of play, which is recovery? You have to make sure that you're being a professional about your body. What are you doing to make sure that it continues to work the next day and the next day and the next day? Taking ice baths, doing simple stuff like that, Epsom salt baths. And that takes time. A lot of kids, they aspire, they look at guys like, Justin Jefferson, Aaron Donald, all those guys at the top levels. And my brother can attest to this because he was with the Seahawks. Guys like DK Metcalf, guys like that, Geno Smith, you look at them, their recovery routine is very, very strict, and at that level, they don't play. I mean, so you have to take it down to high school. If you're striving to even get to college, they will do checks on you. And I tell my guys, hey man, these guys will make sure that you're doing recovery in and after your workouts, before or after your workouts. Your mandatory recovery. I know when I was at Campbell, after every Saturday night's game on Sunday, the next day, if we weren't doing recovery, Mint was going to know. And there will be consequences to us not getting in the ice bath or doing some type of recovery for 30 minutes every single day, especially after the games. But Coach Mint was serious about that. He played in the NFL for the Panthers, and he was very serious about the recovery because it's an investment for them. Some of these coaches, they're putting $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in the kid. Now you have NIL clubs. The kids can even get more money. So, and that's not even scholarship. That's a whole different sector when you start talking about NIL deals. So if they're providing all these services to you, they're going to want something in return, which is, hey, how can you help feed my family? So the coach has to be able to trust you at the end of the day. Can you help feed my family? Can you take care of, of the income coming into my house? So based off whatever you're doing now in high school, they have to be able to trust that you can translate that to the next level. And then the fourth thing is, the fourth thing is I tell them is the mental aspect of it. I mean, I have mental check-ins with my guys every single day, or every single meeting, I would say. I meet with these guys once a week. Each person gets one meeting probably for about 15 minutes. What are you doing mentally to continue to develop yourself? And that has to be a thing that they're consistently doing. If your mental's not there, none of this is going to work either. So I even put mental on, honestly, at the top. The mental part has to be there. I've seen kids just quit on the process. This is not easy. I tell kids all the time, before you start or you say, I want to go to the next level, it's not easy. There's too many dynamics in this transfer portal, like my dad mentioned. You also have, guys coming from higher level schools, Georgia. They may have a Georgia transfer come down to Campbell. I know we had like Marshall transfers, Virginia Tech transfers, NC State transfers, Tennessee transfer. They were from everywhere. So you got high school guys looking at the roster like, hold on, this kid is from Tennessee, and I have to go compete against this guy. Like, so I'm like, yeah. So you gotta make a case for yourself. So those are the four biggest things, and then I think overall that'll help you, better your recruitment as well. So that's the in-season game plan. We also have an off-season game plan. And some of the off-season game plan that we entail with our guys as far as them getting better. And this is stuff that they can do to get better. Making sure you're following up with coaches on Twitter. It kind of goes to the same thing. I always have those four categories: football, academics, mental, and then, recovery. I always have those four things. That's including in the off season as well. So it just changes, some of the things in season for football, I'll give you guys an example. Are you watching, 4 hours of film? Some of these coaches, they want you to watch film. They're going to require you to watch film beyond what you watch in the film room, just or in practice or whatever. Are you making sure you're correcting yourself? Are you writing your mistakes down? I'm treating this as if I'm a college coach. I want these guys to make sure that, this is what it takes, man. Some of the stuff football wise in the off season, you might not have film to look at, but hey, you can go and you can say, hey, I want to do 20 or 30 minutes after my workout with something that I did bad with last year. I really want good at catching. A receiver's not good at catching. Make sure you focus on catching. Make sure you do 30 minutes, after your workouts in the off season catching. So it's very detailed. If I were to go into all of it, we would be here for days, but that's just a little that's just a little scale of kind of what I do to help the kid and make sure they're on track. And then what I'll do after every meeting to wrap it up, after I go over those four categories, I'll wrap it up with this. What have I done? Because it's a two-way street. I can't expect the kid to do something and I haven't done my part myself. So as a team, or I would say me, I created a game plan for myself. How am I helping these guys get recruited better? What can I do to help myself help the kids? Whether that be, hey, Riz, you need to, wake up a little earlier so you can get a couple more calls in the coaches. You need to be able to strategize their highlight film a little bit better. You need to be able to get this coach's attention over here that's at a HBCU because he doesn't want to go to this specific category of school. He wants to go to HBCU. So how can I get this guy on the HBCU radar? So there's game plans both ways. The kid has to have a game plan for himself, which I create. And I have a game plan for myself as well. And I have categories within that game plan as well. But it's a two-way street. Each person, when I'm working with a kid, I can't do it all. You have to help me. But I can make stuff shake. We can guarantee visibility. But like my dad said, we can't guarantee an offer, but we can guarantee that visibility. So that's pretty much the scope of what I'm doing now with all of my meetings as I meet every week. And my kids are starting to really learn and really grasp the fact that, hey, man, this process that Rich is saying, he's been through it. And, just last year we had 5 or 6 guys, multiple level offers from D1 all the way down to D3. This year we've had 4 or 5 guys with offers, D1 all the way down to D3. And the list goes up every single year. There hasn't been one person over the past 3-4 years I've been doing this really that hasn't had an opportunity to sign somewhere. So we are thankful for that. And that's kind of what we want to continue to do. We want to continue to give people options, and even if that's just JUCO, even if that's just junior college, even if that's D3, we want to be able to continue to give kids options past what they're doing now. Because to me, I look at it as a bigger picture. Some of these guys, when you look at it, they're like, this is all I have. So if you can tell a kid, hey, man, I can get you out of your current situation and I can help you get on a better trajectory of life, it's bigger than football, So that's kind of
Right. Hey, Ridge, I don't look, man. I got teary eyed for a second because I wish this was around when I was in school. Like stuff like this, social media, and the exposure that these kids get is so much easier these days. And it's like
Yeah.
it's not where you start. If you sign with a JUCO or a D3 and you're wanting that D1 offer, it's not where you sign with first. It's that mindset that you're instilling in them from your program that's gonna work with them through that JUCO program on top of it. It's gonna move them to that D1 later on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm proud.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this, man. Just listening to both of you guys talk, I can see the passion that y'all have for it, which is awesome. I can tell, like I said, it just seems like y'all are really going hard for these kids, and that program that you laid out there, that's awesome. Y'all seem like y'all are really hands on, which is great. If I'm a parent, I'm 100% comfortable with with y'all doing this for my child, because I know, like I said, just listening to you guys talk, man, y'all got a plan, y'all got a program, and it's laid out, and it's not just focused on, totally focused on recruiting, but you're helping them be better football players right now. Like you was talking about with the recovery, with the film and stuff. Hey, like I say, that's just awesome, man. Awesome.
I do have a question. With the parents, like the work, I know y'all work with the kids, but like, is there like any type of steps that you go through with the parents like you do with the children? Like, you make phone calls with the parents, are you making sure, like, are you telling these parents, like, are you keeping up with it, like with your child? Are they doing this after their workouts? Stuff like that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me address that Riz for a second, then pivot back. That's a great question, and we always at the beginning of the relationship give the parents the option on these weekly phone calls that we have. We invite them, if they so choose, to be a part of every weekly phone call if that's their desire. Some parents do it. It's about 50-50. Some parents do it. They're on every call. Other parents say, hey, no, Ridge worked directly with, my son, and I'm good. We do try to periodically update the parent or keep them in the loop. Typically, especially during this time of year, it kind of, they're in the loop automatically, or I should say by default, simply because of the game day visits. Riz didn't mention one of the things that he does in this process during the season is we arrange game day visits, with various schools or whatever, based on once we have kind of done a strategic plan for them and determine a basket of schools that will be the best fit for them. Everybody wants to go D1, FBS, Power Five, but everybody's not FBS, Power Five. Caliper out of high school. Maybe they can work their way to that and then transfer up. But we pretty much try to identify where a young man is at that particular time coming out of high school, whether it be D2, FCS Division I AA, Group 5, or even D3 or JUCO, whatever it is. We identify them and put together a basket of schools, and then we work hard to arrange game day visits for those. I say all that to say this: that is a time when the parents are directly involved and say, okay, I know this week we're going to, William and Mary. Next week we're going to Elon. Next week Liberty. Next week, and so forth and so on. But as a parent myself, I kind of wear a dual role or dual hat in this. I look at this from the coaching perspective, and I spend a lot of time reaching to collegiate recruiting coordinators to develop those relationships even the more, so that we continue to add schools in terms of having direct relationship or direct contact with these coaches. But also, I take that coach's cap off and I empathize with the parent. This can be a very grueling process for a parent. Probably the biggest thing when you step into that recruiting realm, and Coach Oates, I'm sure, can speak to this, it is highly underestimated. People don't realize it's not just the prospect that's getting recruited. That whole family, if there's any relationship at all in terms of family, is going to go through that recruiting process. And there's a lot of highs and lows, peaks and valleys along the way. So I work hard to try to empathize in that moment with parents. I know how that feels, to be riding high one week and next week there's no interest or appears to be no interest. So I hope I'm answering your question.
Oh yeah, that answered it perfectly.
Yeah.
I have one more, and I guess maybe the other guys have a question. I'm sure y'all specifically focus on football. Is there any other sports that y'all made, like if there's like a phenom in volleyball or softball, or like have y'all been contacted by any like you see this
Yeah.
girl, like a huddle from a girl that's playing softball and she's pitching around 80 miles an hour in softball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. We have relationships with various individuals who could help in that process. To your point, we ourselves don't focus anything but football. That's by
Okay.
design, intentional. Down the road, there may be some expansion, but we just believe in order to be the best service that we can be, there needs to be an intentional focus. That's not off the table out of the question as the years roll by. But we do, if to your point or your example, if someone calls us with a specific, softball, volleyball, or whatever, we do have some relationships that we can kind of point them in the right direction and make a phone call or two and say, hey, you may want to check this young lady out. Here she is, so forth and so on.
I said that because our very own Brandon, he's got a son that plays football and he's got a daughter, Braylon, that plays volleyball. That's why I asked about the volleyball.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. We definitely have some relationships
And
that we can kind of direct. Absolutely.
yeah, and I forgot to tell you guys about that. I wanted to expand about my dad's point about the game day visits as well. It slipped my mind, but it's that those game day visits I do want to mention back on the football side are very unique because a lot of these kids also too, like I said, the mental aspect of it. They looking at D1 or they look at a specific level and they say, well, man, I don't think I can play at that level. But in our reality, it's a bunch of it's a lot of hype. The media, that's their job. They point the cameras looking down and they'll go point the cameras up. They're all the way down. And it's like when a lot of these kids get to the game, they start believing in themselves and like, man, I can play here. So it's actually an inspirational moment for me to be able to say like, hey, I sent this kid to Liberty. He believes that he can play at that level now. Like, and I've been telling him this whole time, like, dude, you can play. It's a mental thing. Sometimes you got to let these kids see it. And the fact is, they come at me like, man, that's some of the best like game day experience I've ever had. And I think it's unique too because, and I'm not bragging on us when I say this, but the type of relationships we have with these guys, we could make a phone call, for example, to Devin Doyle from Liberty. I talk to him at least once or twice a week about some of my guys. Mind you, Liberty was in the top 25 last year. They played Oregon in the bowl game. And the fact of the matter is that we can, hit them up like, hey, Devin, I got 2 or 3 guys I want to get you to a game day visit. He's like, man, let me know. I'll put them on the VIP list, whatever. And they'll get 3 or 4 game day tickets for free. There's like, hey, man, how many guests are coming? Like I just had William and Mary hit me up about how many guests are coming for some of our other guys that are going there this upcoming weekend. So I think it's just a blessing that we're able to provide guys with some free tickets so they can actually be able to see the games. And that's that's such a unique part. So I'm kind of mad I skipped over that part actually.
I, I just thought of one more question, and Coach Oates actually we were talking on the phone one night, and he was telling me about it when I had mentioned Will Fisher to him about the transfer portal. And Will Fisher had told me he hadn't gotten any offers yet, and he was worried he wasn't going to get any. And then I had called Coach Oates and told him about it. He's got a 3.8 GPA and everything. Coach Oates like, well, right now, these college coaches are trickling down through the transfer portal first. Then they'll go out here and try to recruit. So
yeah.
I mean, is that making it kind of harder for these kids as well, getting these offers later, or is it's just you really got to stand out these days in high school?
And that's what he was saying about the point of getting started earlier. And I know he was probably going to mention that anyway. But that's the point my dad made about mentioning getting started earlier because now you have to. You'll get swallowed up by the transfer portal. I mean, understandably so. They're going to get first dibs. If I'm a college coach and I'm like, I'm trying to get better, and who doesn't want to get better right now? So people are like, man, I see this guy from Tennessee or this guy from, Texas, and he can come and make my program better right now. Oh yeah, let's see what this guy's talking about. I'm not gonna try to develop a 17 or 18-year-old, but there's guys that think different. Like Elon, for example, their program, most of their guys are high school kids that come out, so they believe in actually developing, who they are right now, and then for the future, they wanted to continue to learn the Elon way, the Elon system. There's some programs that you'll be surprised that don't even really like a whole bunch of transfers. So, I mean, it is definitely more often than not, they will look at transfer first. But there are some programs that, are different in that aspect as well. So
I look at that. I'm sorry, Coach, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think that goes back to being intentional with the game plan that we had shared earlier about just getting better. Because if you're in this space, or not if, now that we're in this space of the transfer portal, there are fewer high school scholarships available coming out of high school. So coaches are going to look for those tangibles and sometimes those intangibles in regards to, is this my best choice for the high school player or players that I'm going to offer scholarships, and the things that we spoke of earlier can actually, help tip the scale in your favor. Just being intentional on that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Okay.
I was just gonna say I kind of appreciate the way you guys kind of broke things down, Ridge, especially when you kind of went into it like you were talking about, like the coaches looking at these players like, how are you gonna make my household money?
Yeah.
And it gave me a new perspective. So I look at the process a little bit different. Us as parents or people, normals out here that have not been part of this process or had, somebody close to us go through the process and into college and further or whatever it is.
Right.
So these guys are not just going to school and playing a game that they love anymore. Like it's a job.
Yeah. It's a
Like
So
job.
it's a job. It's a business.
Yeah, it is.
And I love the way you laid that out. And so I guess how you could look at that transfer portal is your transfer portal is kind of like businesses that are looking for employees that have job experience already.
Exactly.
Like, and then you have these companies out here that love to build from the ground up so they can teach that man exactly what they want and
Right.
what they expect in
Exactly.
their program. So that's
That's
the difference
correct.
between transfer portal and not, versus
Exactly.
pulling somebody out of high school.
Exactly.
Um, so I appreciate that because that just lined up a bunch of stars for me. So
Yeah, for sure.
so so thank you.
That's
So
good.
I wanted to make that reference just in case anybody missed that, but that's how my brain was tracking here.
That's
So
good. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, we're
so
here to
so
bring
thank you.
clarity about that situation. So many people just don't know, but
Yeah.
we've been blessed to be able to know a lot of what we give. I mean, is great information, and parents will tell us like, man, we didn't even know. So yeah, whenever I hear that, that's how I know, like, man, God's blessing me to be able to say the right things to give people revelation about stuff. So
Yes, sir. It
Yes,
spoke
sir.
straight to me. And I know it spoke to a lot. And if they missed it, I laid it down for them. So
okay,
so
yeah, for
um,
sure.
So I want to say thank you guys, man, because I know with my kids, I've had kids that's done a little travel football, AAU stuff. I've had a daughter that's done some travel softball and travel volleyball. And you'll get these recruit agencies that'll reach out to you because your kid was involved in some kind of traveling ball agency or whatever. They kind of
Right.
pass your name off. And they really make it out like you can't go anywhere. You're not going to do anything without them. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
So I appreciate you guys because that's not the message that you gave when you came in
right,
here. You
right.
gave a message of we're going to lay things out and show you what you have to do
yeah,
as an athlete,
Right.
what you have to do as a parent, where we need to be. And then you said, I'm taking this on my shoulders and I have to create a game plan for myself because every situation is different.
right.
You laid that out, and to me that speaks volumes because I know when these other companies reached out to me about my children, we spoke very do you want to buy this product? This is a product. This
Right.
is what I'm
Yeah,
selling you. Do you want to buy this? Oh, it's only going to cost you a house payment a month. Like
Right.
so and so I really appreciate to hear you guys lay it out like that and the passion that you have, and it's we're in this together, versus here
Right.
talking to my secretary. Um,
Yeah,
so
because that's the thing about what we do is I feel like if the kid doesn't go anywhere, that's like that kind of weighs on me. Like, dang, So I feel like I'm having to hustle every day to make sure that kid is good. But I tell kids all the time, like the hustle that I have, it can't outweigh yours because then that's when it's like,
that's a problem.
yeah, so.
you got to have a pay raise at that point. Like you got to
Right.
have a pay raise at that point. Like if I'm gonna work harder than you, well,
Yeah, so I mean, I love it though.
Yeah. And the
so
thing is, and I know you're kidding, but in theory, a pay raise won't even do it. It's we can't want this more than you. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to want this, for yourself, and that's the only way you're going to get recruited. And again, I'm sure Coach Oates, he's living it now. He's in that world now, and he sees it, in terms of how a kid is conducting himself, to get recruited.
Right. And by the way, I'm glad I thought about this. It's also too beyond, high school. So I have, certain guys that if they desire to, they might be like, hey man, I came out of junior college and I'm still struggling to get looks. All right, cool. Like they may hit me up. Okay, let's try to make something shake from there. So it extends, like I said, even from that standpoint too as well.
awesome guys, I really appreciate y'all, man. sorry if I took up a little bit of time there, but I wanted to make sure I was
I'm
understanding
not.
what
No.
you guys were
Oh
laying
no,
down.
man, you good, good. But look, I mean, great information, great insights. But we got Coach Oates up here, and Coach Oates, with all your coaching experiences and everything you've seen, I know you got a ton of insights that you could share with us as far as that process goes as well.
Well, first of all, before I get into that, a couple of things I want to say, and I can get with Brother Blackwell later. But one of my former players is a coach at Georgia Southern, one of the coaches at Georgia Southern for volleyball. And, he's been at Clemson, different places, does a good job. So that may be someone that he'd want to speak to about his daughter. Next thing, what I always tell my kids, stop trying to get recruited. Just play football because you love football. If you play football because you love football and you take care of your academics and you do the things that your coach is telling you to do, the recruiting process will take care of itself. Now, I'm not saying don't reach out to someone like the Boykins for help, but I'm saying you can't play for a scholarship because you don't have a scholarship to give yourself. You could go out this season and get 2,000 yards rushing, but there may not be any colleges at that particular time that are looking for somebody with your skill set. You're sitting there wondering why I'm not getting recruited. It's not because you can't play football, but you may not be what someone's looking for at that time. There are guys walking the street that could be playing in the NFL, the NBA, but they went to the wrong place at the wrong time. I have a brother-in-law who had a cousin that got drafted by the Chicago Bulls, was all Big Ten, but he played two guard, and they happened to draft another guy that year by the name of Michael Jordan. So you do the math. It's time and place. Another thing, before I get into it, I'm gonna say some things, and then I'll go through and talk about what I want to talk about. And if you guys have questions, great. What I like to tell parents and kids, recruiting is not what they think it is. Mac Brown may show up at the game. He may not have on a Carolina polo. He might have on a flannel shirt and some jeans and just sit there, because it's not just the kid getting recruited. The parents are getting recruited too. And if your parent is sitting in the stands acting like a jack in the box, that school wants nothing to do with you. Those coaches, they want to see, how does this kid act when his team is winning by 20? How does this kid act when his team is losing by 20? How does this kid act when his coach gets on his case? How does this kid act when he makes a mistake? They're looking at all of that. And I think sometimes kids and parents don't understand that. Another thing that they don't understand is you should be recruiting the school harder than they're recruiting you. What happens a lot of times, parents get excited because I've seen this guy on TV every Saturday. Now he's in my living room or he's talking to my kid. A lot of high school coaches are intimidated by college coaches. I'm not, because those college coaches have nothing to give me. They want what I have. So if anybody's going to kiss anybody's rear end, they're going to kiss mine. And a lot of coaches don't understand that. A lot of parents don't understand that. You have to interview that coach, interview that school, because that's where you're going to be for the next 4 or 5 years. And one of the things I always tell my guys, when you go visit, talk to the star player and then find the guy that never gets in the game. What they tell you, the truth is somewhere in the middle, because that star player is happy. He's getting everything he wants. That guy on the bench might be a little salty, might have a little hate in his game. So the truth is going to lie somewhere in the middle. And I tell them, choose a school that you would be happy at if you tear up your knee and can't play football anymore. That's what it's about. I also tell parents, they get caught up in D1, D2, D3. The only thing that matters that comes after that D is EGREE. That's why you're going to school, to get a degree. Very few people are going to ever see 1 o'clock on Sunday. So you better get that education. That's what I preach to my guys. I've been fortunate enough to have some guys that make it to the next level. I've been fortunate enough to coach a Super Bowl champion. I've coached an NBA champion. I've coached an Olympian. I've just been blessed to be around quality players. I know what they look like. I know what it takes to get to that level. But the recruiting thing, you just, as Ridge pointed out, you just got to take care of business. I'll give you a basketball reference. Back in 2007, I had a kid. She was being recruited by Troy University. The coach called me. He said, "Coach, we're recruiting a girl out of Atlanta. She's better than your girl, but your girl has better grades. And we know if she's coming from your program, we know she knows how to work hard, and we know she knows how to win. So we don't have to teach her that." So they offered my kid. And if you go to Troy University right now, there's a mural of her painted on the wall in the gym. So a lot of stuff, politics, a lot of stuff goes into this thing. You just got to take care of business. Academics, number one. Social media. I've had kids lose scholarship offers because of social media, stuff you're posting. They can go back years and find that stuff. Matter of fact, and I'm sure Ridge and LB will touch on this. I'm sure they've run into it. Big universities now are hiring people. That's their sole job, is to look at recruit social media.
Yeah.
So that's big. There's so much stuff that goes into this thing. Touching on Ridge and LB, I'm sure y'all don't know this, but when they tell you they get out to small schools, they do. Last year, they were at Union for the Union-Hopkins game. I'm sure y'all didn't know that, but they were right there in Spartan Stadium. I signed a couple autographs for those guys after the game. But no, there's just so much that goes into it. Another thing where parents fall off, they'll get mad. Well, that coach is not working for my kid. There's some coaches, and I know coaches who are good X and O coaches that don't think it's their job to help kids get scholarships. Me, I feel like that's my number one job. And I can say this today in front of anybody. And if any of my former players watch this podcast, every kid that I've coached in football and basketball that wanted to play on the college level has played on the college level, 100% of them, because that's my main focus. I've only been at Union 2 years. I've had one kid that wanted to play college football, and right now he plays for Methodist. I'm going to bust my butt for my kids, and I tell them that. I'm going to bust my butt for you. You can go out and find better coaches. And I tell parents, you can find a better coach, but you can't find a coach that's going to love your kid harder than I'm going to love your kid. And
yes, sir.
I'm in this business today. I could be retired, but I love what I do. The good Lord's blessed me to stay healthy. And as long as I'm healthy, as long as I feel like I have a message that the kids can receive, I'll stay in it, because as I told Brandon the other night, we talked, I'm in a position now to not only be able to help kids, but I'm in a position to help young men that want to get into coaching. I can get your foot in the door. And man, that's what we're here for. We talk at Union about being men of service, extending our hand to help somebody rather than extending our hand for you to put something in it. That's what we teach our guys, and that's what I'm trying to do, because at the end of the day, men, and I know we're talking about recruiting, but the ultimate recruiter is up in heaven. And I tell my guys, if we go out and win by 60, that won't get us into heaven. And if we go out and lose by 60, that won't keep us out of heaven. It's how we treat our fellow man, how we develop a walk close with the Lord. That's what's important. And that's what I teach my guys. And I feel like if they become better people, they become better football players. They become better Christians. They become better people. And that's
that mental.
important. That's important.
Yep.
It's also important how you conduct yourself Friday night after the game. That number 52 for Rosewood is a beast. I mean, if you guys haven't seen this kid play, you need to go look at some film. 6'4", 235, a beast. And I talked to him after the game, which I do after every game if I see a kid that I think can play on the next level. I told him, I said, son, if there's anything I can do to help you, you just let me know. I said, your coach knows me. Matter of fact, the coach at Rosewood, he's a Guilford grad. He played football at Guilford also. And matter of fact, I told him I was going to talk to the kid. That's how I got recruited. The guy that was the coach at East Duplin at the time came up to me after the game, just asked me some questions. I said, yes, sir. No, sir. How I was taught. So he contacted Coach Forbes at Guilford. He said, hey, not only can this kid play, but he has impeccable manners. So how you conduct yourself is important in the recruiting process. You don't know who's looking at you. There are people looking at you that you don't know are looking at you. And it's a complex thing, recruiting, but yet it's also a simple thing. And you have to, sometimes kids and parents, they have a higher view of themselves than their film shows. You have to be self-aware and understand what level you can play on. Any kid playing high school football right now can play college football. It may not be at Florida State. It may not be at Southern Cal. But, you know, we've talked about D1, D2, D3, and JUCO tonight. One thing we left out was NAI.
Right.
There's tons of NAI schools. There's opportunities. Another thing that people don't talk about, there's a college football league for Christian colleges. You know, you a guy that's really religious, and you know, you want to go somewhere, you might want to become a pastor one day. There are colleges out there that focus on religion. There are leagues, the Christian leagues, where you can go and play. So there's opportunity out there. It's just a matter of what you're looking for. Another thing I'd like to touch on tonight, just last week, the NCAA, they did away with national letter of intent. So you're going to have some craziness going on now. Colleges are not going to know who's signing with them until signing day. You know, I can come to Carolina tonight, and then signing day, I actually send my letter in the state. You don't know what you're getting. That's why these colleges now, man, like I mentioned earlier about the transfer portal, and then as a parent, you've got to be aware if your son is really that guy. You've got to be on top of this whole NIL. Yeah. You got to look at that. You know, there are kids making life-changing money in the NIL now. So as a parent, that's something else that you need to, you know, investigate. So there's a lot that goes into it. One of the things I also tell kids, recruiting is a lot like dating. And I can look at this screen and tell a lot of you guys back in the day were players. And there was that time. Look at Harris. You can see it all in Harris' face. Back in the day, there might have been that girl you really like. She won't really feeling you like that. But there's another girl over there that would wash your laundry and do all that stuff. She might not have been as bad as that one, but you know, she ride or die. So you got to decide as a recruit, am I going to go where I want to go, or am I going to go where they want me? You know, that's important. So that's just a kind of a synopsis. Like I was talking about earlier about working hard for my kids. Here's an important piece, though, and then if y'all got questions, you can ask questions. Parents and athletes need to do their due diligence. You don't need me as a coach to contact the college. All you got to do is go to the internet, pull up that university, and go to staff directory. They list every coach. And the smaller schools, they're going to give you their phone number. They're going to give you their email. You go to a school like Carolina State, you're not going to get that. They're going to give you a number where you can contact the secretary and that kind of thing and leave a message or the recruiting coordinator. But smaller schools, you can get a direct line to the coach. And another thing about recruiting, as a recruit, you can call that coach every day. There's certain times of the year he can't call you or even communicate with you. But as a kid, you can call them anytime you want. So the last piece I want to mention is official visits. Okay. If I'm a kid at Union and I'm being heavily recruited. And, State wants me, Carolina wants me, Wake wants me, Southern Cal wants me, Colorado wants me, Ohio State wants me. Don't waste your official visits at Carolina State. Your mom and daddy can drive you to Chapel Hill or Raleigh at any time, and you can go on an unofficial visit and see that school as many times as you want. Take those official visits to places you may not ever get a chance to go to again for free. You can go visit Southern Cal, and in your mind, hey, I'm going to Carolina. I keep saying Carolina because I know Brandon likes to do,
Hey, you got a couple of Carolina fans here with you, Coach. Don't worry.
But take advantage of the opportunity. You get those 5 visits, go places you may not ever get to go, and you get to go for free, and take your parents. Like I say, you can drive to Raleigh or Chapel Hill on your own anytime you want. So that's kind of what I had to say. If someone has specific questions, I'd be more than happy to try and answer them. But
I do got something to say. Hey, we got a kid over there at Union, by the way, Ridge and Coach Boykin. Got to come check it. Yeah, we got a kid. He's a freshman running back. So
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Coach Oates. I had to say it.
Well, me and Lamar, we talked about today. We talked on my ride home today. So yeah, I mentioned him to him.
Yeah.
He already got the 411 on him.
Yes, sir.
Hey, he's definitely worth a
Man.
mention. That's for sure.
Hey, but Coach Oates, I appreciate you, man. Like I haven't felt this at Union in a minute, and them kids just don't know how lucky they are to have you.
For real.
I'm
wish
lucky
they
to have them too. That's and I don't mean to cut you off, but that's one thing that people always miss. All my career, I've been told, man, these kids are lucky to have you, especially when I was in Florida. But what they didn't understand, I was so lucky to have those kids. When I was in Florida, I was by myself. I had no family in Florida. I went down to Florida, no family, no friends. Those kids and their families became my family. So they were just as important to me as I was to them. And same thing at Union, I do have my family here and I have a wife. But those kids, man, I love them. A lot of them don't have this kind of love at home. And as a coach and a man that believes in the Lord, I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do.
For sure.
Coach, you saying that like I was we had Coach Holt on for an interview early at the beginning of the season. Guys that don't know, Coach Holt is the coach at Lakewood High School. He's coached a few D1 schools as well, or colleges as well. Now he's come down and he's coaching high school ball. Amazing man. But that interview we did with him, he had mentioned, he said, I'm learning a lot at this level. He said, and the funny thing is, a lot of what I'm learning seems to have nothing to do with football. And that kind of goes to what you were saying, Coach Oates. The daggone, some of these kids just don't, their lives ain't put together like that,
Right.
They don't have a support system. They don't have loving homes that they're going to every night per se. You know what I'm saying? Or it's not shown the way that it probably needs to be. And a lot of these kids are in situations that it's hard to stomach imagining children in, and I can imagine like some of the people that you've come in contact with and you guys as high school coaches and things like that, even middle school coaches coming in contact with some of these kids. And it's more than just coaching football. You guys having the opportunity to touch these kids and touch their lives. Like, man, that is one of the most important things in the world right there, way beyond the football field. Who cares about football at that point? It's about touching a life. Coach Oates, I've heard a lot about you, man. I've had nothing but respect for you. After your statements here tonight, man, I don't think I can respect you any higher. I'm glad you're here in this county with these kids. I know you feel lucky to have them. We're all definitely lucky to have you. It's about building these young men and creating better young men in society, which ultimately is going to create a better community for all of us. So
Yep.
thank y'all.
Well, if I could say this, and I'm sure Chris will appreciate this being a dark horse. I was blessed with the men that coached me. And I was telling the kids the other day, my high school coaches, you go to Clinton High School, you look up on the scoreboard, you see the name Bobby Robinson. That was my coach. You go to East Bladen, you go to their stadium, you see Lennon Fisher. Lennon Fisher was my 5th grade teacher. He was my high school position coach. And he's the guy that brought me into coaching high school football. And then you go back to Clinton High School and go to the baseball field, and the name up on that stadium is Jimmy Rayner. I was coached by all of those guys. Every guy that coached me in high school has a stadium named after them. So I've been blessed, and the Lord blessed me with great parents. A lot of people in Sampson County know my father, J.C. Oates, former law enforcement officer. Probably not as many people know my mother, Isabel, but great woman of God, 93 years old. She's still with us. The way I coach has a lot to do with the way I was raised. And that's what it's about for me. I love getting up and going to work every day. I don't see it as work. Matter of fact, when I go to bed at night, I can't wait to get up to go to work. And what you guys are doing is a blessing for these young people. And again, Lamar and Ridge, I remember when Ridge was born. Good people. Lamar's parents, when I coached at Lumberton, his parents would have me over for supper. We were in school. He's been to my house, my parents' house for supper. We're brothers, and we appreciate what you young men are doing. And anything I could do to further what y'all are doing, don't hesitate. And like I say, Brandon, any parents that have questions or whatever, I've got literature I can get them to.
Yes, sir.
I'm just here to help.
And to piggyback off what you were talking about, Coach Oates, I got a question for Ridge and Coach Boykin. He said sometimes the kids don't have that love at home, but this question kind of ties into that. Has there ever been an instance where y'all just could not work with a kid and y'all had to, what was the reason y'all had to tell them that y'all cannot work with a kid? Or has there ever been an instance like that where that mental just wasn't there, that the thinking wasn't clicking?
Yeah, I mean, for us, I don't think we've had necessarily that. We try to do a really good job of getting these guys motivated, to let them see, which is why I changed the aspects of our meeting sometimes. Sometimes I'll have like guys that I know that may have played in the NFL before. We have a couple guys here, William Hayes, he played with Aaron Donald. He went to Winston-Salem State. I try to give these guys motivation that it excludes just what they're in now as far as high school. Like, hey man, you can get to this level possibly. I feel like though indirectly we haven't had anybody mentally just say, man, I can't do this. Maybe a couple of guys might have said, hey man, I can't do it because of injury, but mentally not really. We haven't had that scenario so far.
Okay. And also, as far as the parents, I think Coach Boykin hit on it a while ago, but is there anything that a parent should be doing during the process of their child? I'm not necessarily making them comfortable, but like helping wise.
Yeah, I think that goes back to some and I apologize, guys. My phone went out, so I'm over with Riz now. So I thank you for your patience. But I think it goes back to being involved with some of the game plan that Riz spoke of earlier, and just being helping to hold the prospect or their son accountable for what they need to do.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing. And again, this recruiting process, when you really delve into it and roll your sleeves up, families recognize, man, it is the whole family. It's not just when you really get into it and you are getting after it, it involves the whole family. It's not just that prospect. In fact, I'll say this: when Ridge was getting recruited, we went through the process there, and then when Lance was getting recruited, and he began to get offers, and he ultimately committed to Old Dominion initially. Before he committed, the entire Old Dominion staff came here, to the house, and it was pretty interesting because the head coach at that time, Bobby Wilder,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't spend time with Lance. He spent time with my wife in terms of talking to her. And after the fact, I said, Coach, man, I don't get it. He said, well, here's what I know. If I can reassure the mom that her son is going to be in good hands, it's 100% chance I'm going to get that young man. And when we go back, Lance and I talk all the time about that recruiting class. He had Bobby Wilder out of 23 guys he signed that year. 19 of them had Power 5 offers. Lance had an offer to Purdue, but chose to go to Old Dominion. And there were 19 other guys who could have gone Power 5 and chose to go to Old Dominion. And it was that reason. So it is a family affair, man. Yeah.
Okay. Magic, you got anything? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Rich. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say also too. I think it's very important to not just when I see a kid. That's why I mentioned one of the pillars of me in the in-season game plan and off-season game plan is the mental aspect, making sure that these guys are good mentally, and they're not always 0 to 100. They're not always 100 going down to 0. We want to try to keep the mental even keel. So we understand that these kids are not going to be 10 out of 10 mentally every time on all aspects. They're facing stuff outside of football. They're facing stuff, maybe at home. Life happens. They may be facing an injury that, happened in the offseason. We had guys tear ACLs, and they're like, man, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And I think that making sure they're mentally there and also changing the environment. The fact of the matter is a lot of these kids will mentally check out when you don't feel like you care. That's where they mentally check out. When they feel like you care and you're checking on their mental every single week, they begin. There has been some kids that be like, I don't know if I can do it, to answer your question, but we haven't had anybody say, hey, I'm done, which is great. We try to get these guys in the direction of believing because, like I said, it's bigger than football with some of these kids. They really don't have any other way to change the trajectory but through sports. So I think also too, like I said, changing the environment, whether I have, NFL player like William Hayes or Tavon Wilson is another one we know. He was a second-round draft pick. He played with Tom Brady in the Super Bowl in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
He has a Super Bowl ring with him. My brother, I might get him on here. Like I said, he's played with the Seahawks, with DK Metcalf, guys like that. So I think, and I actually, Coach Oaks, I tried to get Laurel on here one time. I know you coach Laurel Murchison from he plays with the Rams now. I played with him at junior college. But he played with East Blade, and my dad was telling me about that. He's like, yeah, Coach Oaks coach Laurel Murchison. But
Actually, I didn't coach Laurel. I was gone.
You was gone when
Laurel got there,
but
but
you
I
know
know
about
him.
him.
And
Okay.
he was roommates. His brother Pharrell was roommates with my friend Stanley from high school up in Winston-Salem State. I know Laurel.
Okay, yeah. So guys like him, I went to junior college with him. He's a busy guy. Like I said, he plays with the Rams right now. So back to my point, just trying to get these guys to realize, hey man, even the guys at the highest levels had rough, jagged journeys. Like Laurel had to go to junior college just to bounce back to go to NC State, just to bounce back to even get a chance at the NFL, So this
Right.
game is really, jagged. And but the thing is, if you can if you feel like, in anything else, like you don't know what somebody's going through. So you could say like, oh man, something that's the craziest thing, and it makes someone's day, and then all of a sudden they right back on track. It's no different with these high school kids. You know, it's all about making sure that you care for them and what they got going, and kind of relating it and giving them a real life example of what they may feel like they can do one day. You know, okay, this may be success. And all of these guys that we have on here come from a Christian background, you know, so they're giving them that godly experience and their godly word through mentors. Exactly. You know, my brother Tavon Wilson, William Hayes, all these guys, you know. So they're giving them that godly mentorship.
Oh, great information. Oof.
I wanted to get into something just a little bit. Just I see like you guys focus like really really strong on that mental aspect, which I mean it's true. Once they go to the NFL or in college or wherever it is, life don't stop happening. You know what I'm saying? Like life is still happening. So yeah, it's important all the way up. But from my experience coaching kids all the way up from you know flag football all the way up through pads. A lot of these kids have a hard time believing in themselves. A lot of these kids do, and a lot of them only hear how good they are or what their potential is from their parents, which in a lot of cases don't mean a whole lot because mom and dad is supposed to have their back. You know what I'm saying? Mom and dad are
Yep.
supposed to say all the good stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's nice when you have people involved that give some of that back, that they can hear it from somebody besides their parents or their sibling or whoever. I've seen that a lot, and that's one thing I can say with the new coaching staff and stuff we have over at Lakewood. um you know what I'm saying, they talk to these guys and they don't know, a lot of these coaches don't have a relationship with these kids outside of you know this current season or very short period before. And so for them to hear that they're good enough and get accolades on their performance from these guys, it means a lot more than the people they've been around their whole life.
Yeah.
So I've been seeing that, so I see where what you guys are doing and mentoring these guys on that mental level have a big difference in how these guys see themselves and how they do move forward and pursue whatever it is that they want.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for that. I also wanted to get into the fact, like you guys were saying, it's important for us as parents and for the athlete themselves to be real with their child and for their child to be real with themselves about where they're at and what their expectations are.
Right.
I wanted to get into that just for the simple fact that here's where you guys are probably needed still, because I know I was in instances, and I know Magic's in here with us and he probably wants to talk, and I'm gonna let him, but he stood right next to me during the jamboree. I was watching my son play. My son is starting on varsity as a 10th grader. Super, super proud of him. And we're out there watching him, and I'm going, man, he did not have a great game. And mom comes down when the little match was over and she's talking to me, and I'm like, I mean, it did okay, but I mean, it wasn't great. It wasn't fantastic. Like, I mean, but we're early in the season. He's getting his taste. I was like, and after the match was up, all his teammates were coming up to him, grabbing him, hugging him, talking about, dude, you had a ball game. You had a ball game. Like, the coach come talk to me about what a good game he had, and I was like, what did I miss? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, I missed something, but I didn't. It's just because I've always been real with my kids and I've always pushed them. Like, I have no problem telling them where they are and where they aren't from my standpoint.
Yeah.
So some of us need to be reminded to cut them a little slack because we don't know everything either. My son's out on injury right now, but hopefully he'll be back before the season's up. If not, we got next season. But I just wanted to kind of bring that up because I found myself in a place where I was apparently holding him to a standard that was well above and beyond where he might have necessarily needed to be at this moment, because he got a lot of praise where Pops wasn't quite ready to give him that praise. But I had to eat that and say, hey man, apparently you had a heck of a game. Like, so
Right.
us parents need reminders too, man. So we appreciate you guys.
Yeah. No,
No question. No question. Let me say this in regards to one of the ways in which I think the best way we help when we first start working with a new prospect or a new client is we help them what we call manage their expectation, both the prospect and the parent. We gather a basket of schools that they desire, you know, to go to. And if they're, kind of out there saying, "Hey, man, I want to go to Alabama, I want to go to Georgia, I want to go to Clemson," well, we take them to that roster and we begin to go down the roster at their position and say, "Okay, each team, each school has a prototype at your position. Let's go and see if you look like the guys that are playing your position at that university." And sometimes based on the school they have chosen, sometimes they are. When they get to the Alabamas, Georgias, and whatnot, they begin to see like, man, I look like none of these guys. And we're able to begin to refocus them in terms of, I think Coach Oates said it earlier about finding the place that's ideal. We call it the place of embrace. So we really try to order their steps to that place of embrace where they're gonna like to see you coming. They want you there versus you're trying to sell your way into the door. So yeah, just want to point that out.
Thank you.
Hey, Magic, we got the Midway Magic, man. He joined us a little bit late, but Magic, man, I'm sure you got some questions you want to ask either Ridge or Coach Boykin or Coach Oates about what they've been talking about.
I come from a Native American community, so we got a lot of ball players that's made it, and a lot of ball players that haven't made it down this way. But they've had every tool in sight. But so I was just wanting to say to Mr. Boykin and Coach Oates, we talk sometime. I just wanna say, from our standpoint in our community, we call you guys the knowledge keepers, and I'm glad y'all accumulated all that knowledge to give to these young folks that are out here playing. We're growing up in a whole different time now. Back to when y'all played, you know what I'm saying? Mr. Greg Jacobs, he played for Clinton a long time ago. He played on both sides of the ball, and he said when he got to ECU, that just wasn't the thing for him. I mean, he got into some other activities, as he say. He talks about it all the time. But we call you guys, down around our way, we call you guys the knowledge keepers, and I'm glad that you guys are up here sharing that with these young kids. You know what I'm saying? And not gatekeeping it, because we got a lot of people out that know stuff like this and they gatekeep, and that's real bad, especially when you're trying to get the younger kids out here, get them away, from not saying there's a bunch of violence, but get them away from violence or a different activity into something that's going to grow them up and be a better man, at the end of the day. So I would like to thank y'all guys, even though I got in here late. I would like to thank y'all guys for sharing all the knowledge that you guys know and are willing to help all these kids, because there's not many left like you guys. You know what I'm saying? That's all the way around, and I'm glad you guys are not just holding firm and gatekeeping. Thank y'all.
Appreciate you. You're out there with that middle school giving your knowledge. We all have knowledge. My father always told us, when you get to the point you know everything, it's time to die. So I try to learn every day from everybody I come in contact with. And that one afternoon you came and sat with me in the office and you picked up those dummies, just listening to you talk. I learned some stuff from you that day. Your passion. Sometimes we have to be reminded of that. So again, you guys are just as important piece in this process as we are, maybe even more, because you've got this outlet. So don't ever sell yourself short.
Thank you, sir.
Listen, man, just all great information, great insights. I'm gonna go back and kind of piggyback off of what Brandon and both the Brandons were saying. Coach Oates, man, I've heard you talk before. I see what you're doing for those kids out there. I've said it all the time, a couple times on this podcast, man. Union's got the right person, at the right time for these kids, and like I said, I can't wait to see what you continue to build in the future. I'm a fan. Quite frankly, I'm a fan. You're a true leader of men, like you were speaking. Just hear you speak earlier. It's not just like you said. It's not just a job for you. You know, it's deeper. It's deeper than X's and O's. You genuinely care about these kids. It's not just football knowledge. I'm sure being taught out there on that field is life lessons. So I appreciate what you're doing out there, and like I said, I'm continuing to root for you and root for that whole Union Spark community.
Well, I appreciate it.
Um,
I appreciate it. And can I say something, Chris?
yes, sir.
I'm gonna direct this at the Lakewood community and the Clinton community. And I'll start with the Clinton community as a dark horse, former dark horse myself. I've known Coach Boykin for a long time. I was coaching at East Bladen when Coach Boykin was playing. And for y'all that don't know, he was a heck of a football player. And he's going to do a heck of a job at Clinton. What people in Clinton don't understand, let's forget the fact that Coach Corey left and 5 kids went with him. People are forgetting Clinton had 25 seniors last year. Small schools don't recover from that in one season.
Exactly.
You know, they had 25 seniors, and I know Corey. Corey and I used to talk when he was around. And matter of fact, I'm friends with Corey's mentor. Corey was a great man and great coach for that program. But what Clinton has to embrace now is Corey's not here anymore. Coach Boykin is here, and we need to give him all the support that he needs. And Clinton's middle school team, I've got a nephew on that team, headhunter. They've got some talent. That JV team's got some talent. One thing about it at Clinton, tradition doesn't graduate, and the dark horses will be back. Trust, they will be back, and Coach Boykin will do a good job with that. Lakewood, Coach Holt. Coach Holt's a good man. He and I talk quite a bit. You know, he'll call me from time to time just to get advice on certain things. You know, he's been coaching college ball. College ball, high school ball is totally different.
Yes, sir.
As far as, you know, what to do when your game gets rained out. You got to play a Monday game, turn around, play a Friday game. You know, we've talked about routines, but he's a good man, and I know his mentor well. The guy, Sean Elliott, was head coach down there at Georgia State. I met Sean years ago when he was coaching at App, coached at South Carolina. Sean Elliott's crazy, but he's very passionate. Coach Holt, good Christian man, and Lakewood is in very good hands. I hope they understand that. Sampson County, in general, is in good hands. Like I said, Coach Boykin, Coach Holt. I think Barrett's going to do a good job up at Midway. Coach Salas has always done a good job anywhere he's gone. So Sampson County's in good hands. And I would just like for the communities, forget the coaches. Get out and support your kids. Like, for myself personally, I could care less what's said about me. But when you badmouth my kids, we're going to have problems. And those kids are giving everything they can. We are a JV team playing varsity.
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm trying to schedule a JV game before the season is over, just so my guys can see what it would look like to be playing against kids their own age. And they got a chance to see some of that Friday night. Rosewood brought their JV. So, I'll give Coach credit at Rosewood. Once he saw the game was out of hand, he put those JV kids in. And when he put those kids in head to head with my young kids showed that, hey, when we play against people our age, we're pretty good. Same thing at Midway. A lot of people got excited that night we were up at Midway for the Jamboree. You know, nobody talked about it, but Coach Sloan put in his JV defense against us that night. And so I know we're headed in the right direction. You know, last year we started out with 12 kids. We have 41 on the roster right now. Magic and crew are going to get it straight to middle school. hopefully next year we can have a JV. We're headed in the right direction, and I just want to get that program in a good place so that whoever comes in after me finds things in better shape than I found it. And
Sir.
I want to clear that up real quick too. I don't want anybody to go out and say that I was talking negatively about Coach Burley, because Coach Burley and I have a good relationship too. Someone mentioned earlier, life happens. That pandemic hurt Union really bad.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It did.
The death penalty.
That's out of coach's hands, anybody's hands. So show you how old I am. I knew Coach Burley when he was playing. His head coach was a friend of mine. So I've been around a while and seen a lot of stuff. But Sampson County's in good hands. Keep supporting these kids, and you guys keep doing what you're doing, because I think this is great.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Coach Oates, hey, like I said, get my forms. I'm ready.
Hey, let's make it
I'm ready.
happen.
Let's make it happen, baby.
You keep talking. I might put you in a jersey.
Hey, I'll go shady right. I will go shady right now.
Oh Lord.
Hey, Chris, can I say something, Chris?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I just want to clarify, and I'm glad actually Coach Oates brought this up, because actually Coach Boykin, who is now at Clinton, was here in my area, here in the High Point, Jamestown area, and we oftentimes got confused. I just want to let your listeners know I am not the Coach Boykin at Clinton right now. No, he's a great man. I'm pulling for him, man. Our sons really kind of grew up together, playing against each other, playing with each other. But yeah, Devin Boykin and Lance. So, but he's a great man. But I do want to clarify that for your listeners in regards to I'm not that Coach Boykin, and then in regards to just to expand on what Coach just said, Coach Oates. I can tell you this to the community. I don't know your communities like you guys obviously know them, but I do know Coach Oates. And I will tell you, man, the guy is cut from the right cloth, and he knows how to win, not just football games. We came up, as we say, through the valley, through the mud back in the day. And he's just been built to win in life. So, man, you all said it earlier. You all are very blessed to have them, and I know he feels likewise to be blessed to have the community and the players that he has. But man, the guy knows he knows how to win. He knows how to build young men into winners for life. And if you win at life, winning at football becomes easy.
Yes, sir.
Oh man, you just spoke a mouthful right there. Mouthful.
The check is in the mail, LB. The check is in the mail.
Oh man. So I get, is there anything that you guys would like to touch on that we didn't ask or dig into? Did y'all leave a gem out that you need to drop?
Yeah, well,
about the whole recruiting portal or your recruiting process, or
yeah, I would just Ridge is going to give his number if anybody wants to reach out and learn more specifics about the program. How we engage, and an email. I'm gonna turn it over to him. Let him give that now, and then maybe you guys can also post it somewhere. But yeah, that's
we'll
that's
post
the
it.
biggest thing. So you want to do that, Ridge?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Well, if you guys, ever need my number, email, you guys want to post it somewhere on your social media platforms, I'll just go ahead and give it to you. If you want to even write it down right now, I guess. It is 336 803 9235.
Oh, I got your number. I don't know why I'm writing it down.
Yeah, so 336-803-9235. And that's my cell. So like I said, I always have it on. Any guy wants to hit me up about recruiting or anything, text. Yeah, best way to text is text message. Calls. I get calls from coaches and players, but the best way to reach me is text. And then also to email. I'll go ahead and give my email out, which is RIDGE. So Ridge, RIDGE at XODUS, the number 4, the letter U.com. So that is Ridge, RIDGE at XODUS, the number 4, the letter U.com. Ridge at exodusforyou.com.
That's dope. There's a meaning. There's a meaning behind that Exodus 4, ain't it?
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's definitely a meaning behind it. You want to explain that? The meaning behind it. It's kind of like my dad's gonna explain.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. It's you guys know it, man. It's biblical. It's without the E, so it's XODUS, and man, you know, Exodus means, man, the great coming out, and
Absolutely.
we want these guys to know, man, there is a way out of their situation. As far as if you don't feel like you're getting recruited, if you don't feel like you can get recruited, if you feel like you've been overlooked, man, there's a way out. Ultimately, we know that way out, man, is Jesus Christ. And we're just excited that he's allowing us to have the platform of football to lead them to him, as well as, man, have a great career in the process. So that's the backdrop behind that name. Absolutely.
I love everything y'all about, man. That tonight was, I told my guys when I brought this up to Chris and asked them about, you know, having y'all on and everything. I said, look, man, I'm excited because I went to y'all's website. I read everything that's on y'all's website, and when I talked to you, and you told me a little bit about yourself, I was super excited, and yeah, y'all have exceeded expectations for me tonight. I hope Wednesday when this airs on our page that I'm going to share it at least 100,000 times if I
Yes,
can.
sir. We want as many eyes on this as possible. Parents, athletes, they need to see this and get this information. Just piggyback off what Brandon said, man, you guys have provided great information, great insights tonight. We appreciate y'all taking the time. I know y'all are busy men.
We appreciate you guys, man.
But appreciate you just taking the time and talking with us tonight. You know, we got to wait for everybody to get in contact with you. We'll post your website on our page. So if any parents or athletes want to get in contact with you, they can do so. But we'll go ahead and start kind of closing things out. Anybody anything else to say before we kind of
One
come to
thing,
an end there?
one thing that I didn't say, back to the recruiting piece, highlight film. Your highlight film should be just that, highlights. You see some kids putting stuff in film that's not a highlight. You know, there should never be a bad highlight film. It should be the best of the best. And one thing, the college coaches, they don't want to sit there all night and look at a film. Anything over 2.5 minutes is too long. Keep it short, 2.5 minutes or less. Put your best plays up there. Depending on your position, if you're a running back, show breaking some plays, show you're getting some tough yardage, show blocking, show you coming out of the backfield catching a pass. Everything that your position entails, highlight it. But everything in that, there should never be a bad highlight to it.
Yeah.
But with that being said, your highlight tape should be good. College coaches are not stupid. Eventually they're going to want to see a game film because they want to see the whole body of work. But that highlight film will get their attention.
Right. Yeah, and that's a great point, Coach Oates. And in reality, we've talked to a lot of these recruiting coordinators, and you got about 30 seconds to grab that coach's eye, if that. And if you don't grab it in the first 2-3 plays, it's next man up. They just don't have time to Coach Oates' point. They will not sit and watch even a minute of your film unless they've already have you in their system and they want to see more. But if you're trying to get on their radar, you got about 30 seconds, man, to get them to get on their board and for them to watch or be inquisitive about you in the future.
Appreciate that, coaches. Once again, man, for Ridge and Coach Boykin, Coach Oates, I appreciate you guys for joining us. Gotta send a shout out to 18 Studios for sponsoring this video. Appreciate everything they're doing. For my entire crew, man, thank you all for taking the time. Awesome show. Can't wait for it to post, man. Appreciate everyone listening in and checking us out. So for the entire crew, this is Supposed to Be Sports Podcast. Be signing off, man. Y'all have a great night.